Good morning. Today we are continuing on with those angles that we started before we worked on this town. So remember, we used the protractor that one day on measuring our angles. Now we are working on more things to do with that. We are on CO52. I can identify complementary or supplementary angles. So we talked the last time, remember, about the acute, the right, and the obtuse, and the straight angles, and how to measure those angles. Now we're going to learn the definitions for complementary and supplementary. Has anyone heard of complementary angles before? Fernanda, do you remember what they mean?
Is it where the angles don't touch?
Good guess. With complementary and supplementary angles, they might touch, they might not. It could be either way. Anybody else have a guess on complementary angles? Jude, attention up here. All right, the complementary angles have two angles that sum to be 90 degrees. What does it mean if it's their sum? What operation means sum? Rhoda?
Addition?
Addition. So if we add our two angle measurements together and it equals 90 degrees, we know they are complementary angles. Now, we can see these presented in two different ways. One, they might be touching. So we might have something like this, where it's 30 degrees and 60 degrees, and we might see that box showing that it's a right angle, because remember, 90 degrees means right angle. So we might see that box saying, yep, if they equal to 90, 30 plus 60 equals 90, 57 plus 23 would equal 90. No, 57 plus 33 would equal 90. It doesn't have to be 30 and 60. As long as the two angle measurements, when we add them together, equal that 90 degrees for that right angle. Sometimes we see them touching. Sometimes we might see them not touching. And we know if we add 30 and 60 together, it equals that 90 degrees. So they can be touching, they can be not touching. They are both complementary angles. Does that make sense? Okay, so knowing what we know about complementary angles, anybody have a guess on what supplementary angles are? Rhoda?
Where they cross?
Good guess. We are going to learn about those, but not today. Michael?
When it's not 90? Or it's more than 90?
It's going to be a specific number. So we again have two angles that sum to be, Joy? 180 degrees. So we had that right angle that we talked about the last time. Now we have that straight angle that we talked about that last time. Remember, 180 degrees is that straight line. So we might see something like 40 degrees and 140 degrees. If we add them together, 140 plus 40 equals 180 degrees. They are supplementary. It could be maybe two right angles. 90 plus 90 equals 180 degrees. So they don't have to be touching, they can be separate, just like our complementary can be separate. Michael?
What if the angle is lower or higher?
I'm sorry, say that again?
What if the angle is lower than 90 degrees or higher than 90 degrees?
So if they don't equal 90 degrees or 180 degrees, they are just two random angles. They don't have a special name given to them. We only give a special name to the 90 degree and the 180 degree, complementary and supplementary. Otherwise, they're just two angles. Okay? So, you are going to decide which of these grouping of angles show complementary angles and which ones show supplementary angles. There could be one answer, there could be multiple answers for complementary and for supplementary. So you're gonna look at A, B, C, and D. What do you think we need to do to figure out if they're complementary or supplementary? Fernanda?
You need to add the angle
Degrees?
degrees to the other
Yeah.
angle.
We need to add those angle degrees up. If when you add them up, they equal 90 degrees, you know it's complementary. If when you add them up, they equal 180 degrees, you know it's supplementary. If they don't equal 90 or 180, they are just random angles, and you're not gonna write them down. So you have to do the adding to know if it falls under here, or it doesn't fall under either of them. Then, down below it says draw and label each angle's complement if applicable. What would a complement be? If it says draw and label its complement. Rhoda?
The second angle.
The second angle for it to equal a complementary angles. So if it's a complement, you would add to it to equal how many degrees? What's the complementary angles? What do they equal to be, Michael? 90 degrees. So if we have 52 degrees and we want to know what its complementary angle is, what its complement is, what math do we have to do? We know when we add the two angles together, it's going to equal 90. We know one of the angles is 52. What do we have to do, Vinny?
Subtract.
Subtract. 90 minus 52 is what? Fernanda? So I am going to draw, I'm not going to use a protractor. I'm going to freehand it, but I want it to look to be close to 38 degrees. We know that a right angle is 90 degrees. 38 degrees is going to be a lot smaller. So I want to do a small angle, and I'm going to label it 38 degrees because it says draw and label. So its complement would be 38 degrees. Then, and I'm going to say this is the complement, and this is my supplement. So if my complement was 38 degrees, 52 plus 38 equals 90 degrees. How do I find its supplement? Rhoda?
You do the same thing, but with 180.
With what? Which number? I didn't hear you.
180.
Yeah, we take 180 and we subtract the 52. So 180 minus 52 is what? Joy? 128. Now I know 128 is going to be bigger than 90 degrees. So I'm going to draw my angle bigger than that 90 degrees. And I label it 128 degrees. Another way we could do it would be just to draw that straight line. And we could say this one is our 38 degrees, this one is our 128 degrees. You could draw it on that straight line, you could draw them separate. As long as we have And just know that 128 degrees, oh, no, sorry. That 128 degrees is this, and the 38 degrees is this. So you have to label it all. Actually, I drew that wrong. We would take it this way, that straight line like this, and this would be that 90 degrees. So that's how we know that's 38 degrees. This would be the 128 degrees. So you can do them on a straight line, you can do them separate, but make sure you're labeling the measurements correctly. So the 38 degrees is acute and little. The 128 is the obtuse angle, that's big. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Now, it says, do the complement if applicable. When wouldn't we be able to do a complement? Rhoda?
92 degrees,
Why couldn't we do a complement on 92 degrees?
because it's bigger than a right angle.
It's already bigger than 90 degrees. If your angle measurement is already bigger than 90, we can't find a complement to add to it to make it equal a smaller 90 degrees. So then you would just do the supplement. So if your angle is bigger than 90 degrees, just find its supplement. If it's smaller than 90 degrees, find the complement to equal 90, and then find the supplement that would equal 180. Okay? So you are doing this page on your own. I helped us with the drawing. Make sure you draw and label on the test if you don't label your measurement, or if you show an obtuse angle and you claim it's only 38 degrees, I'm gonna mark it wrong. You have to know 38 degrees is acute and it's small. You have to know 128 is obtuse, it's big. Okay, so you have to show that. So draw an angle that would be close to it. We're not taking the time to have to measure it. We're just showing that we know the difference between the obtuse and the acute angles, and we can correctly put in what the complement and supplement would be. When you finish, remember, I have 7 of us that still need to finish your Khan Academy. So you can go back to Khan Academy and finish that. That comes first, but only if you're one of those 7 should you be on your device. Other people should not be on the device. Then work on that math packet. Now is the time to come up and ask questions. Practice those stations of the cross. Now is the time to come and get checked off for your stations of the cross. Okay? So this is a math theology work time. Make sure you're using your time wisely. Was there anyone who had any questions on this? All right. If you are watching at home, I hope you are well, and I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.